Alright, welcome back everyone. Today we're playing some Rakdos Midrange. This is the list from Remy Fortier, who took down second place? No, first place. He actually won the Mana Traders event recently. Rakdos, obviously, not much needs to be said about it. It's been probably the premier deck in Pioneer for a long time, at least a year, and it doesn't really have a whole lot of pronounced weaknesses that it can't resolve. It has some bad matchups, but nothing it can't overcome at least 40% of the time. So if you're looking for a deck to play and you don't ever want to have like a polarized I can't win scenario, then I would say Rakdos is a pretty good place to start. I think this list in particular is very good. This is, I think, incredibly well tuned. We have obviously the staples of the format. The staples of the deck are 4 copies of Fatal Push and 4 copies of Thoughtseize. You cannot leave home without all 8 of these cards in your 75 somewhere, and probably in your 60. Thoughtseize is a good turn 1 play that opens the door for the 2 and 3 drops that are among the best in the format. You have Bloodtithe Harvester is just a card that fits into like every archetype. It's a good aggressive creature. It's a good way to loot away extra cards to find the pieces that you need. It's pretty good at blocking. It's a good kill spell. It combos with the reflection of Kiki Jiki on the backside to mow down the opponent's board and represents a 2-card win condition at the end of the day. 2 copies of Reckoner Bankbuster for the control matchups as well. These are often what you cut when you run into more aggressive decks, but they give you outs in game 1 when you're up against something more controlling that can deal with your creatures and make your kill spells dead. 2 copies of Misery Shadow. Very important. This is a great upgrade to the deck that replaced Kalitas a while ago. Misery Shadow, I'll bring this window over here so you guys can see it. If a creature opponent controls would die, exile it instead. It's also a pretty good mana sink, so you can attack for big numbers later in the game if you top deck it. So it's a pretty good top deck. But more importantly, this gives you outs to green. So you want to be able to kill Old Growth Troll and Cavalier of Thorns and have them be exiled instead of dying, and have the opponent not get value off of them. Misery Shadow is the way to do that, at least in game 1. Graveyard Trespasser, pretty important just as like a resilient 3-drop creature. 3/3 for 3 is good. If it goes to nighttime, 4/4 for 3 is outstanding. And being able to incidentally hit cards in the graveyard has utility against Greasefang. It has utility against the Is It Creativity lists that are playing Torrential Gearhulk these days. It's a good idea to have a bunch of incidental graveyard hate in your deck. Bone Crusher Giant, just awesome value card. It's kind of amazing how Bone Crusher is such a staple. It looked like not a great card to me when it was initially printed, but just having Shock stapled onto a pretty good body that has an extra ability on top, like a body that has text, it's hard to beat in terms of value. The adventure creatures in general are just great for value. Fable of the Mirror Breaker we don't really need to talk about, probably the best card in Pioneer. And 3 copies of Sheoldred. 3 might be too many. If I was looking for something to improve in the deck, I would probably look to upgrade one of these copies into something else, depending on what you expect the meta to be. But otherwise, no real nitpicks about the main deck here. Sideboard, we have 2 copies of Extinction Event, which is great against mono green. We have the Boat, which is great in mirrors. Unlicensed Hearse, critical, particularly now that Dimir Rogues is becoming a thing. You're already pretty good against Dimir Rogues with all the kill spells and cheap spells, so that the opponent can't really get under you super easily. And obviously Kroxa as well punishes Rogues pretty well. But Unlicensed Hearse is obviously great at eating your own graveyard to turn off the opponent's Drown in the Locks. 4 copies of Duress for control, Go Blanks, yeah, all of this stuff is great. Interesting that there are 2 Noxious Grasps in the sideboard, so this is to deal with the mono-green matchup. It's also just very good against mono-white. You just kind of have tools to deal with pretty much everything. So I like this deck a lot. It's not my favorite style of deck to play, but if I have to just pick a deck to play to try to win a tournament on any given day, it will probably be this one. So let's hop into a league and see how the deck does. Alright, let's run it back. Let's try to do that better. Bloodtithe Harvester into Fable. Love it. Keep. Hive, are we getting Thoughtseized? I think we're kind of okay with this. They take Bankbuster for sure. It makes a lot of sense. It's like the best card in the matchup. We do get punished for the extra tap land. So I think Hive is probably the better card, like the better creature land in the matchup than Den. So if I have to discard this to a Fable later, then I'd rather it be the Den. So we'll play that, and we'll get the Bloodtithe Harvester down and see what they do. Shock themselves, and they do their own Bloodtithe Harvester thing. Sure. So now they have the option to trade with us, so we should force them to trade with us. Because if trading is good for them, they'll do it, and if trading is bad for them, they won't, so we might as well force the issue ourselves. And I'm going to get this Fable into play, because that's what you do when you draw Fable. I assume they have their own. Liliana. Okay. Sure. Okay, we find Blood Crypt, which... I would love to stomp Liliana, play Kroxa. Could also discard Kroxa. Yeah, that's better, right? We'll discard Kroxa, and... Do I want to keep the Den around, or do I want to keep the Blood Crypt around? I think I want to keep the Blood Crypt around. Yeah, I'm going to pitch the Den. We already have a creature land. And I'll stomp Lily. And I think... I don't think I want to blood away the Takenuma, so I am just going to play the Blood Crypt tapped. Hold up Fatal Push. Like, I could have held up the option to blood and Fatal Push next turn, but I don't think there's any situation where I want to do that, so I'll just save the 2 life. They have their own Bankbuster. That's kind of rough. I assume that this Fable is not long for this world once it flips. Okay. So Fable flips, we find Blackleaf Glyphs. That's a much better... it's a much better outlet for our blood. I think that's just the play, right? I think it's just Bonecrusher Giant. And probably just play Takenuma. And this time, like, I do actively want to blood away this Bloodcleave Glyphs because it will get us closer to flipping Fable. And it may force them to attack with the Hive, like kill one of our things, attack with the Hive if that's possible for them. Thanks for posting the video. You didn't understand. Oh, the top deck Besage turn. Yeah, hey Schultz, how are you? That was rough. That Lotus Field game against you. Dreadbore hits Fable. That's fine. In fact, that gives us the extra card that we need in order to flashback Kroxa. We find Power Word Kill, which is okay. And we find a swamp. Alright. So I suppose first things first. Let's attack with the Bonecrusher Giant before we commit to bringing back Kroxa. And they may have also forgotten about Kroxa, so they might play incorrectly, but they don't. Play the swamp, I think. And Kroxa, come on down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoa, Schultz, thank you very much. 10 gifted subs. If you got one of those, make sure to say thank you to him. Schultz, friend of the channel, lives locally. We've gone to some hockey games together. Very talented Magic player as well. Alright. Is Kroxa about to die? Well, maybe. But first, Bankbuster draws in response. And they discard Thoughtseize. Sure, that makes sense. So we have pressure, but they have value. Down to one card in hand, and it's a Bloodtithe Harvester, sure. So we'll give them a chance to animate the Bankbuster if they want. They choose not to. That makes sense. I think we hold the Power Word kill for a Sheoldred, and we'll use the Fatal Push now, even though it's less mana efficient. And untap. Find our own Sheoldred. So now we have the interesting choice of swinging with the Hive, putting them down to 5, or play Sheoldred, hold up Power Word kill. Sheoldred's like pretty likely to die, but I think we kind of have to. Well, they're gonna have 2 draws to kill Sheoldred. Yeah, let's just force them to do that. Drawing in response to avoid getting dinged. And they can dig pretty deep with these Bloods, but they'll get hurt each time. And we'll be able to Power Word kill away the blocker. They didn't find an answer off their first draw. Maybe they did off their second. But they're in a bit of a bind, because we can kill this token on end step, and they need to have the ability to block the Bonecrusher Giant in the Hive, and they can't. Cool. Alright, so we got their game 1. Hey HD, good to see you. How are you? Alright, so against another Rakdos, we want the boat, we want the extra Bankbuster, we do not want these Thoughtseizes. The name of the game is to make sure that our late top decks are about as good as they can possibly be. Go blank is pretty good value, so 2-for-1s are the name of the game. And what else? Unlicensed Hearse doesn't seem super appealing. Pithing Needle, naming Bankbuster hits our own Bankbuster, so that's not great. Noxious Grass doesn't hit anything. So I guess the one question is, do we maybe want this extra copy of Kroxa? And if so, what are we getting rid of to accommodate that? Misery's Shadow does not feel super great. It's like it dies to stomp. It's not super relevant for its ability. I think this is what I'll do, and I think I will bring in the extra Kroxa. It's a better top deck later in the game. Okay. 3 lands, a Fable, a Kill Spell, and a Sheoldred. That's how we draw it up. Interesting question about what land to play on turn 1. Do we play the Haunted Ridge or do we play the Den? If we draw exactly another creature land, then it punishes us for not playing the Den on 1, but otherwise we'll get a black land if we draw Bloodtithe Harvester, and I think there are more Bloodtithe Harvesters in the deck, which will let us keep Takenuma in hand. So I think that means we're going to play the Haunted Ridge. Obviously, we'll feel pretty dumb if we draw exactly Hive of the Eye Tyrant here, but there's more copies of Bloodtithe Harvester, which rewards us for playing Haunted Ridge first. It's a very minor thing. We're unlikely to draw either of them, really. We find Bonecrusher Giant. Great. No punish. And we're just going to say go and hope they play something stompable. Hey, good to see you. How are you doing? Hi. I don't actually know how to say the rest of your name, but hi. Obviously, we met at Command Fest Orlando, played a couple Commander games together, and opponent plays land number 3 and does nothing, which is deeply suspicious. Our next turn is going to be Fable. We're not going to be holding up Stomp anyway. I think I'm down to just Stomp face. Gets the Bonecrusher Giant away from like Thoughtseizes if the opponent kept those in for some reason. We'll play Haunted Ridge, and pretty sure you just never don't play Fable here if you can. So they, I assume, yield at end step, otherwise that skipped way too fast. They K-Command. K-Command's good. So we have to discard something and they'll kill our token. I think we're going to kill this, drop this extra Power Word kill. Opponent, excuse me, plays Sheoldred. I guess I should have had a stop on my upkeep if I wanted to. But I think I probably would have taken my draw step anyway. Alright. So, I think now I really do want to draw off the Fable here, so I don't want to do that with a Sheoldred in play, so we'll start by killing Sheoldred. And I'm going to discard at least one card here. Like, certainly we're discarding Kroxa. And I want to keep Goblank. I think I want to keep Sheoldred. And the question then is, do I want to discard Takenuma? I think the answer to that is no. I think we'll just discard Kroxa and that's it. Find Fatal Push. Okay. Here I'm fine passing. I have no idea what could possibly be in my opponent's hand. It must be all 5 lands, right? Like, it's gotta be. What else would make you scoop here? But okay. We have a 2-lander here with a Fatal Push and a Fable, so we just need to put some faith in our deck that on the draw we will find land 3 by turn 3. I'm your Pioneer fix. Wow. Yeah, that's why I'm playing the format. There's not a whole lot of great Pioneer content out there. Blue, thank you for the gifted sub to Luna. We did draw the land on 1, so Shipwreck Marsh. So this is probably that Rona combo deck. So I definitely want access to my Fatal Pushes here. Watery Grave. And go. Okay, maybe it is just straight Dimir Control. I would have thought that there would be a creature coming down on 1. Okay, so whatever we play here is liable to get countered, I think. So it's, I think, either going to be Misery Shadow or Bloodtithe Harvester. We can also hold up Stomp. Make them waste their mana on this turn, which is maybe the best thing of all. But then, if turn 3 is going to be Fable, we're not going to be attacking them next turn if they choose not to counter. I still think it's better to... Yeah, I still think it's better to make them waste their mana. We'll keep Bonecrusher Giant up. And there is some chance that they just play, like, they are the combo deck and we'll be able to stomp something or Fatal Push something on their turn. Most of the streamers on Moto who play Modern, yeah, not Pioneer, exactly. So this is like the kind of niche that I'm trying to find for myself. So double consider here, which makes me think that we are in just Dimir Control territory here. They kept on top both times with consider, which is frightening. Alright, well, we're definitely stomping face here. We can't allow them to get time. Wow, that resolved real fast. Well, okay. No, we'll just... we're jamming Fable here. And if they counter it, they counter it. Ah, Censor. Okay. I suppose we could have played around that by playing Bloodtithe Harvester, but when Bonecrusher Giant Snap resolves on their end step, I think we have to take the opportunity to try to jam something. So this is their Memory Deluge turn. We have to give them something to respond to here. Unfortunately, it's a tap land, so we can't really double spell super well. But we can play Bloodtithe Harvester, play around Censor. They have to kill it, and then next turn we'll be able to double spell Misery Shadow Bankbuster. Yeah, I think so. Resolves. And this will also allow us to blood away this useless Fatal Push as well. Okay, so they just decided to go ahead and Memory Deluge and leave the Bloodtithe Harvester in play. That's fine. And I also just want to be able to play it like F&M, right? Like, people don't play Pioneer in paper. People don't play Standard in paper. It's like all Legacy and Modern here all the time, which is irritating. Just play the formats I want to play, damn it. Like I said, we're going to unend step loot away this Fatal Push with the blood. Find a land drop. Pretty good land, honestly, in the matchup. Castle Lochthwain, when our life total isn't under pressure, represents a ton of extra cards. We find Graveyard Trespasser. So we'll play the land first and go to combat. Somehow, even on land number 5, Castle Lochthwain still comes in tapped, which is great. They take 3, go to 3, and we can either play around Censor a little bit by playing Graveyard Trespasser and nothing else, but I think when they could have another Memory Deluge available, we want to get as much pressure in as possible, and I think that means Bloodtithe Harvester, Bankbuster, and to play around Censor the best possible way, I think I want to play Bankbuster first, because I want this to resolve. Usually you play the card you want to resolve second, so that they might counter the first thing, but in this case, Censor is a pretty likely card for them to have, so we'll play this first. Instead, it's Sinister Sabotage. That's fine. And they put Dig Through Time in their graveyard, which is horrifying. Yeah. Okay. Well, please don't kill me. Hardly anyone's playing mono blue spirits anymore, and Boros Heroic dropped off the map. Yeah, Boros Heroic is kind of just not a very good deck right now. Mono blue spirits does still exist, but it has the main problem of just Rending Volley being in every red sideboard in the format. Where's their legacy? Sorry, Schultz, I didn't see that till now. Mox Portland is actually Friday Night Magic is legacy. Just raw dog in the Shark Typhoon here. No respect. Alright. So we can fire up the den. They take 10, go to 3. Yeah, definitely. Like 100% this means that Languish or something is coming next turn, right? So I suppose that means we're going to fire up the den. And swing with the team. And the problem is that if we're not developing the board, just like multiple considers means that Shark Typhoon might just block us for the rest of the game. So we might have been screwed either way, no matter what we did. They're at 3. There's some chance that we'll just be able to stomp face multiple times, or just win? There is absolutely no way that you scoop to this board, which was entirely face up, and slamming Shark Typhoon was the right play, right? Like instead, you cycle the Shark and try to find the sweeper that's definitely in your deck. But yeah, opponent decided that they wanted to show off their Shark, I guess. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so Dimir Control. Give me all the duresses. Give me none of the fatal pushes. And what else is bad? There might be some Planeswalker or something that Dreadbore would be good for. I don't want to... I guess, actually, I'd rather cut the power word kills than the fatal pushes. Because the fatal pushes kill sharks. So do the power word kills, of course, but fatal push is more efficient. And, like, I guess I want Croxa, certainly want Bankbuster, and it's maybe just this. Actually, Go Blanks also seem quite good. So we need 2 more cuts in this case. Misery Shadow doesn't seem great. We saw Dig Through Time and Sinister Sabotage. It could be that they're playing Gear Hulk. So if they're playing Gear Hulk, then Graveyard Trespasser might be good. Probably no shortage of ways for them to kill a Sheoldred, honestly. So maybe we trim 1. It's just not a great draw in our deck. And I think I want the 2 drops more than I want the 3 drops, just because they represent early pressure that gets under counter magic. So, you know what, maybe the Croxa isn't all that good. Maybe 1 Croxa is enough, and the second it just kind of sucks. Oops. Maybe this is what we're doing. Let's give this a try. Yeah, blue. The Shark token would have died to the sweeper anyway, sure, but it would be a 4-mana sweeper, and they'd have 2 mana left over to cast some other spells. So slamming Shark does seem like a setup play. Alright, so we have Duress on 1, Bloodtithe Harvester on 2, Trespasser or Go Blank on 3. Snap keep this. Hopefully they don't Thoughtseize us. Shipwreck Marsh. No problems here. Duress you. And we see, oh my god, we see Censor, Negate, Shark Typhoon, Hullbreaker Horror, and that's it. So we can play around Negate pretty effectively for the rest of the game. Shark Typhoon doesn't seem super scary. I think we just take the Censor. Yeah. Plays their swamp. And says go, sure. We find Misery Shadow. Not really a great reason not to play this on red, I think. Yeah, we'll play this on red. Save the 2 life. Like, against sharks, maybe it is relevant. And we'll get our 2-drop creature in play. And here they needed a top deck, like, exactly. Censor to deal with this. Or Fatal Push or something. Instead, it's Cling to Dust, which is interesting. That definitely validates keeping the extra copy of Kroxa on the sideboard. And the opponent plays Watery Grave, so we know 4 of the 5 cards in their hand. Let's go straight to combat, I think. We are on a bit of a clock. Hullbreaker Horror is not generally great against us, but once we've boarded out most of our power word kills, in fact, I think all of our power word kills, it does represent something kind of scary. And against 1 unknown card in hand, we're just going to jam the Graveyard Trespasser here all day, every day, right? Hit Cling to Dust. Don't let them draw out of it. Yeah. This, I mean, if they top deck Censor, they top deck Censor. Nope. Hit Cling to Dust. There's the Field of Ruin. And the win. Very, I think, early scoops from our opponent here, but I will take it. We are on the play. We're on the play with, like, a smooth as butter Rakdos hand. Thoughtseize on 1, Harvester on 2, Fable on 3. This is the kind of Magic that we're here to play. It's a bit painful, but Thoughtseize you, and we're up against Mono Green. Mono Green is kind of a scary matchup. Right now they have no payoffs other than Llanowar Elves, so we'll hit the Karn here. Or, no, excuse me, no payoff for the Llanowar Elves. But this is an upstairs, or an uphill match for us. They have they'll have 2 unknown cards. I don't think anything other than another Karn that killing the Mystic would stop here, right? Play land next turn. They could have Old Growth Troll. I guess it is probably better to just kill the Mystic here and next turn play Fable. Yeah, especially because next turn wants to be Fable. We're not going to Bone Crush it next turn either, so I think it has to be now. Play the second lair. And Llanowar Elves. And I think we just need to fade them doing useful things for another turn. Play the Fable, and next turn we can Bloodtithe Harvester plus Power Word Kill. They have 3 unknown cards in hand. It looks like we did fade them doing something useful. I actually don't know what I want to discard. Like, this turn definitely wants to be Bloodtithe Harvester Power Word Kill. And the following turn probably wants to be Sheoldred. Maybe we just don't have time for this Graveyard Trespasser, and we could maybe find an extra land drop or a Fatal Push or something like that. But I definitely want to keep the rest of these. How about another Sheoldred? How's that? Okay, well, let's attack. Make sure we get our treasure off. And we will not give them the option to block. And we'll get the Bloodtithe Harvester in play. So 4 unknown cards in the opponent's hand at this point. They didn't have a 4-drop last turn to play. It's Wolfwillow Haven here. So we have some concern about Cavalier of Thorns here. That seems likely. Storm the Festival is another card that could be in their hand. Not much else makes sense. Alright. Combat the team. Four mana available, and I think it's just going to be Sheoldred to apply maximum pressure, right? Next turn we'll have Bloodtithe Harvester copied with Kiki Jiki to kill most things that could be on their board. Yeah, it can't not be Sheoldred here. But I do feel like we're about to get Cavaliered, or possibly Nissa Shaken the World. Storm the Festival. Yeah, Storm the Festival it's going to be. And let's see what they find. Better be good, because we do have a sizable board here. They're at effective 9. And we have a Stomp in hand, so we win. Okay, this matchup is not as bad as it was for Rakdos in the early days of Pioneer, or the early days of this new format, but it is still not great for us. That said, we do have some tools. We have Noxious Grasp, and Extinction Event is an all-star card against them. That definitely comes in. I think this is the matchup the Pithing Needle is for. Naming Karn with Pithing Needle is pretty important. I think this is a matchup where we need to get them dead rather than grind, so Croxa can come out. I think Bankbuster can come out. It's especially embarrassing against Karn. You can't activate Bankbuster with Karn in play. And some number of Duresses. I don't know that we want all of these, but we'll bring them in for now. Graveyard Trespasser is pretty mopey in the matchup. Whoops. What have I done? These went in the wrong pile. Yeah, these definitely come out. And what else? Sheoldred's good, but I don't know that 3 of them are necessary. And I don't know that we need this many Duresses. Maybe 2 Duresses is okay. Dreadbore's real important to hit Karn and Kiora and all that crap. Maybe it's the Go Blanks. This is tough. I think it's either the Go Blanks or the Duresses that get cut, and I'm not sure which it should be. Duress being castable on turn 1, hitting Kiora, I think makes the difference for me. So these come out, and one more cut. Maybe it's Power Word Kill on the draw. Okay, well, there's Duress Thoughtseize, and a kill spell. And a Sheoldred. I think we just keep this and hope to find a creature or a Fable or something. Forest, Elf. Opponent did mulligan to 6. We find Fatal Push, which seems better. If we Duress and their hand is like 2 Kioras or an Old Growth Troll or something, we'll feel pretty awkward. We can Thoughtseize away, but if they have 2 3-drops, not killing the Mystic here seems pretty bad. So I think the play here is just Fatal Push, and if they have exactly Wolfwillow Haven, then this feels bad, but everything else I think Fatal Push on the 1 is right. And next turn we can double Thoughtseize Duress them if that's what we decide to do. Or we can just play the Den. So opponent found a forest off of the Oath and played Llanowar Elves. 3 cards in hand for them. We're going to start, I think, with Thoughtseize. We do have the option also to just Power Word Kill the Llanowar Elves. But I think I like just not giving them anything to cast with it first. And oh my god, they have Cavalier, Storm, Wolfwillow Haven. So next turn will be Wolfwillow Haven. They have no land. And we'll be able to duress plus power word kill. Well, I'm pretty... We could also take Wolfwillow Haven and try to strand them on mana, and then next turn we'll have duress power word kill. Problem is that Cavalier is still in our future, and I don't think we can kill them quickly enough for that to not be a problem. This is our only opportunity to hit Cavalier. So I think it's Cavalier here. And then the question is, do we duress now? Or do we get the tap land out of the way and duress next turn? I think we get the tap land out of the way and duress next turn. This feels bad if we draw exactly Fable. But otherwise we get one more look at a card in their hand with duress. Okay, so their last card is Storm the Festival, and we'll just kill Llanowar Elves and duress away the storm. And then hope to land Sheoldred and hope that's good enough. Oh, there's Nykthos. Okay. Right. Okay. We could also duress Storm, play Bloodtithe Harvester, and the difference will be they'll have Llanowar Elves on the board represents 2 extra mana. They'll have tap. They could draw something relevant off the top, but I think I like starting to beat them down and power word kill the following turn. Yeah, I think Cammy agrees. Duress you. I think power word kill is just playing a little too scared, honestly. I think I want to get on the board. And this is where mono green does mono green things and just rips something huge right off the top. No, it's another Llanowar Elves, so feeling pretty good about that. We find Takenuma. Well, we could continue with the same philosophy and just cast Sheoldred and hope to dodge things for one more turn. Worst case scenario is that this is 1 tap, their devotion is 4, so this is 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. If I kill the elf, it's 5. So killing the elf here means no Storm the Festival off the top for them. We're going to attack, and we're going to play Sheoldred, I think. Right. Right. This deck top decks really well, but I think we limit their top decks more. We limit their top decks more by ending the game quicker, right? Like giving them fewer turns to draw something. And them drawing Wolfwillow Haven here is kind of as good as it gets for us. Yeah, Jared, I think I agree. I think Sheoldred is right. And we can swing if we... I mean, we can continue the theme of just not killing one of these elves. At this point, they have so much mana that it doesn't really matter, I don't think. Except in as much as it removes a blocker. We could Den, swing, they could double block the Den. I guess Den is just the most damage, right? Let's do it. They can kill the Den, but I think that's fine. How important is Hive? I would love to exile this Storm, but the flashback side of Storm is not relevant yet, and it won't be until at least my next turn when I'll have the option to do it again. So they're tapping Nykthos. They drew something. It's got to be good. Another Nykthos, actually. Okay. That gets them to 10. Okay, they actually do get to Storm, so I guess hitting the Storm with the Hive would have made a difference. Still in okay shape here. They need, like, Kiora plus, like, Cavalier here to keep going. Maybe they hit bad cards. Yeah, but even if they hit good cards, right? Like, they're just dead to Sheoldred next turn. So... yeah, so unless they kill Sheoldred, and they don't really have great ways to do that. So it's possible. It is possible with, like, an obscene sequence here that they can kill us. They would get Karn and Kiora in play and increase their devotion and go off and combo off on us before we get to untap. And for that reason, I think you're right that it was right to Hive instead. But the sequence of cards that they would need from here to win is obscene.